Matilda! What is this? This is the Zeapon Micro 2 Slider. How much does it cost? Approximately $220 or $280 for the full kit. It's got a 21-inch sliding distance while physically being only 13 inches. It uses fluid dampening technology for super smooth slides. It can even slide by itself because of it. It can handle up to 17 pounds. Motors for slide, pan, tilt, and focus are currently in development. Do I recommend it? If you've been looking for a slider or want to upgrade your old beginner slider, then seriously, yes. Done! Roll that intro! Hey, what's going on everybody? You're watching Too Long Didn't Read Filmmaker, where the answers comes first, the reasons come last, but we're constantly and always still learning. So today we're going to find out whether or not the Micro 2 slider made by Zeapon, along with its easy lock low profile accessory mount, is going to be the right slider for you and your overall filmmaking kit. I want to thank Zeapon for sending this out to me so I can provide you with my unbiased review for you today. And essentially, we're going to hit the bottom line because everything I'm about to hit, I don't want to repeat again. So without further ado, the bottom line is, I truly believe at this price point, the sliding range, the build, the features, pretty much makes this one of the best sliders for filmmakers, whether you're doing narrative filmmaking work or you do some tech review stuff where you need to get some smooth B-roll footage like this. So without further ado, let's go through the bullet points of why I believe this is so. First off, the price is really not that bad. The slider comes in at $220 on its own. Now, the low profile mount accessory can be bought later if you don't need it right away at about $80. But if you buy both of them, depending on which seller you buy on Amazon, you can get both for approximately $280 at a nice little bundle discount. But if you get the slider by itself, you do get a carrying pouch and a ball head, which pretty much gets you started right away. Now, the number one leading feature of this slider is the fact that it uses fluid dampening technology rather than using flywheels or belts only. And the reason this fluid dampening is so interesting to me is the fact that the amount of resistance it gives my hand when I'm making a slide is a really good one. It doesn't build up momentum as you get faster and faster like a flywheel does, and it doesn't have such a minimal amount of resistance like just having a slider on rails with maybe a belt attached to it. So the best way I can describe what it feels to me is that you basically can produce some very smooth shots that are almost motorized because everything you do to that slider is very predictable. With a flywheel, once you push it and you generate momentum, the moment you stop your hand from pushing it, the wheel is going to actually keep moving the slider. So if you want the slider to stop right there, it's gonna kind of give you a little wiggle because the wheel still has momentum. But with a fluid dampening system, the moment I stop pushing, the slider stops. So the best way I can describe this is it's very predictable. Now, the fluid dampening also has some other interesting features and applications. Now, if you have your slider at a slight tilt, off kilter, if you will, the fluid dampening is not going to pick up speed because the slider is actually going to start sliding on its own, and it's not going to generate more and more speed until it hits the end and flips the camera off the tripod. Instead, you're going to be able to get a nice smooth shot, as you can see here. Now, another additional way to use the fluid dampening is you don't necessarily have to push on the carriage itself. If you just simply push on the railing, this actually doubles the resistance and you're able to get even smoother footage, something like this. In terms of this slider's design, it is predominantly made out of metal, which makes it nice and robust, and it can handle a nice optimum load of 11 pounds. Now, you can actually get up to 17.6 pounds, but I don't have a rig that's that heavy. But what I do have is my heavy Manfrotto 502 video head with my GH5 as well as my Sigma 50-150 lens. And I think this comes in approximately 7-ish pounds, and it slides just fine. I did see some other reviews on this slider and they were using like a C200 with a 70-200 lens, so that's definitely a much more big, large setup than what I got, and they seemed like they were able to slide just fine as well. Basically what I'm trying to say is all the most popular cameras that most filmmakers or YouTubers use these days, whether it be the GH system, Sony A7, Fuji cameras, Blackmagic, what have you, this slider is essentially going to be able to handle whatever rig you do put onto it. Now I do need to preface this though. Just because you have a 17-some pound rig and you're able to get the slide, you need to make sure your tripod is actually able to handle this as well. Now I know carbon fiber tripods are able to handle more weight coming down on it, but when you have that weight on an off axis, no matter what slider you use, it might tip over. So you have to make sure that your tripod is either heavy or you have a sandbag weighing it down so that you can ensure you can slide your camera safely and not let them fall off. Now the slider deploys that thing that Edelkrone did like many years ago. So the slider is only 13 inches in physical length, which is perfect for traveling when you're putting it in your camera bag or your Pelican case, and it can do a maximum slide of 21 inches from the left to the right or right to the left. And I personally believe that 21 inches to 24 inches is pretty much the best general purpose slider. You're able to do a lot of great stuff if you're doing B-roll shots for YouTube, and for cinema stuff, you can do quite awesome things with it, especially that dolly in. Because traditionally, if you had a 21-inch slider, if you go from all the way from the back to the front, you're gonna actually see the rail in your shot, and you're gonna have to figure out how to get your camera higher, or you're gonna have to always have your camera pointed up away from the rails to do a dolly in. But generally speaking, what makes that dolly in shot so good is that you are at level going at your subject. So with this design, you are able to achieve that. Last but not least, Zeapon, I believe, is trying to make sure that their slider is really quick and easy to deploy, because their dual lock system is one of the most easy way to lock a slider I've ever used. Because some sliders don't have it at all, some have a little tension lever, and some you have to slide it back to the center, insert something in, and screw that down. The last one does work well, but sometimes when you're trying to unscrew it to pull it out, I don't know, like it literally got stuck and I'd have to like smack it to loosen it up and get it out. So it's really cumbersome. With the Zeapon Micro 2, none of that. Literally put your carriage to the center, click, click, and you're done. It's locked there, you're good to go. And when you want to slide again, click, click, you're good to go. Now, Zeapon further delivers on this ease of deployment fact by creating the Easy Lock Low Profile accessory. So what this thing does, it attaches to the bottom of your slider, and then from there, it attaches to your tripod. So generally speaking, we don't always need to have a slider at tripod level. Sometimes we want it lower to the ground or maybe on an Apple box or something. So what this does is once you have it onto the tripod, unfold the legs, unscrew the tension here, slide the entire slider off the tripod, unfold the legs, and put it onto the ground. The legs are just wide enough to create a nice surface area so that when the slider gets to the very edge of its slide, it's not going to tip over. When you're done with the slide, simply slide everything back onto your tripod, lock it down, and fold the legs in. Then pretty much the legs are going to fold seamlessly with the slider, making it non-obtrusive when you're using this as a tripod. So really awesome job, Zeapon, in making sure that this whole assembly is easy and streamlined. Lastly, what makes this slider awesome is the news that they are creating motors for this thing. So a slide motor from left to right, as well as a pan, tilt, and focus motor. So what I'm really hoping is that they obviously need to make a really awesome smartphone app with keyframe ability. Because if we can keyframe everything, then we can basically get very predictable slides and get the best cinematic shot or B-roll shots, what have you. But what further makes me excited is the fact that the slider itself already comes in at $220, which is really insane for a 21-inch slider that can hold this amount of weight, and the fact that it's predominantly made out of metal at a 21-inch slide. So when you start comparing it to other competitors out there for a 21-inch slide, those with motors are already getting up to like $1,600 up to $2,200, very expensive. So Zeapon is already placing itself in a really good marketplace. If it can do the whole motor package, and I want to say like maybe up to $600, I don't really know what their target price is, but I know for me and for you, if it's like $600, maybe even up to $700 for a full motor package, that's really awesome and definitely just inserts itself into a really awesome category of filmmakers. Now, am I saying the other sliders are not good? I don't really know because I haven't used them, but I'm just saying, comparing features and what I already know about the Zeapon in terms of how I'm using it, Zeapon has a very good opportunity to really insert themselves in here into the slider market. Now, I know some of you guys are probably saying, well, if I'm going to get to that kind of money for a slider, why don't you just get a gimbal? Just get a gimbal and you can move way more than 21 inches. You're not wrong, but I definitely disagree with that, because as far as being a narrative filmmaker, there are certain shots that are better accomplished with a slider. There are certain shots better accomplished with a gimbal. And to other arguments, there are certain shots that are better done with a Steadicam rather than a gimbal. So I'm not going to talk about that in this video, but that might be a topic I want to tackle. And if you have any opinions on that, go ahead and leave it down below and we can all have a conversation on that. But other than that, I do truly believe that if you've been looking for a slider because you know why you need one, I would say definitely save up your money and try to get yourself the Zeapon Micro 2. And hey, that is it for this week, everybody. If this video has made all the influence in your purchasing decisions, I would truly appreciate it if you check out my affiliate links down below. Again, this costs nothing extra to you. It just gives me a little compensation so I can continue making videos like this for you. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave it down below. I will get to them as fast as I can. And until then, like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you guys in the next one.